way too many cards to store. So this is where I'm storing the cards now. And like you can see, the cards are getting pretty fucked because of the box running into it. But we're gonna change that today and we're gonna make something to store my cards because I'm running out of space. Like I said, there is a lot more. Oh yeah. Let's make something. I based my simple design of my KALLAX shelving unit from IKEA and the size of a Pokemon TCG card. That's pretty much all I need to follow so the cards fit into the box and the box fits into the shelf. So this is what I'm making today, times 13, for all the different types of Pokemon, plus trainers, plus energies. All I started with was 2 leftovers of 12mm plywood. Then I began cutting the wood to a slightly bigger size than what it needed to be, and I'm only cutting the size of the box as both the top and the bottom will be cut with a laser from a thinner material and just slot in later on. I used this clamping method to sand down all the sides at once as they are pretty rough from the blade on the table saw. Then I'm marking all the sides that I don't need to varnish as those will be cut off and then glued on. Firstly, I'm sealing everything with an acrylic sealer so it's super smooth and ready for the coat of varnish. I'm using a foam brush because it spreads the sealer evenly and it doesn't leave any bubbles behind. It also dries super quick if you use the right amount, so I was able to seal the edges as well straight after. For this I switched to a normal brush because the edges could still be rough and damage and tear the foam brush. I separated the pieces because I didn't want them to stick together while drying. While that was sunning, I took a quick break. And then it was time to sand it with a smooth 320 grit sandpapers as the flat sides are pretty smooth already. I used eccentric sander for this to speed it up and it came out super smooth and ready for varnish. The edges were easier to hit one by hand as the clamp method was too risky this time and the sander might not get every little bit. So that took a while and ended up pretty messy. I'm getting a water-based varnish because I want to use spray gun and it's easier to wash it off this way. Same for the brushes. I tested it first to see if it stains the wood or highlights the wood grain, and I didn't want that. This clip just shows you how well it protects it from dirt and any stains in the future. You tell me, does this look like a public swimming pool? I found a spider. I gave him a bath, I dried him and he was still dead. I mixed the varnish and added it to my spray gun. This old bookshelf was just sitting next to the trash, so I tried it with my pieces and it fit on it perfectly. Then I applied a single thin coat on all the flat sides, so it dries quick and I can hit the other side with a little bit of weight. I left it on the sun and applied the thicker coat later. Then I turned on the laser and cut out the top covers out of 3mm plastic sheet. I traced all over the icons earlier and I can send it for engraving like this and laser will just score it into the acrylic. It comes out super accurate. It was getting kind of late, so I moved all the pieces inside for drying, and with all that, it was an end to day 1. Now all the varnish is dry. It's time to cut the 45-degree angle so the box can be glued together. I'm using a table saw for this again, and I cut the jig out of spare MDF to help me position the pieces, as there was 26 of them to cut on both sides. I constructed the jig and clamped it to the rail of the table saw, and that made it so much quicker. The same goes for the long pieces. I have not varnished the sides yet, so I'm separating them with a spare piece of cardboard and clamping them together for easier spraying. I'm going to use a spray can varnish this time, as I want a quick thin coat. While that was drying, I can show you how to color the engraved acrylic for a cooler look. I'm using Sharpies, but this can be done with acrylic paint as well. Sharpies are just quick and I have various colors already. As you fill in the edged artwork, the color will only stay in the engraved area after rubbing it with a bit of glass cleaner and a microfiber cloth. So you don't have to be careful about the accuracy of coloring at all. It comes out looking super smooth and precise. I had help to do all of them, as it is quite fun to see all the results. Also, please subscribe, so I can buy a new pencil case after 10 years. As all the varnished sides were dry by this point, it was time to add the channels for the acrylic cover and the wooden backing to slide in. I used the table saw again and raised the blade to cut only 5 mm into the material. My blade thickness is actually 3.5 mm, so the 3mm acrylic and also the plywood back will just slide in no problem. The channels were added where needed, and then I cut off the top for the handle. This will sit nice and tight on the top of the acrylic sliding front. Table saw is too aggressive for this, so I used a small bandsaw to make these. Then sanded them smooth by hand, so they are ready for additional varnishing. When spraying flat pieces like this, it's easier to place them on a piece of tape and then spray them that way. It saves time, space and paint. Then I put the top part of the box back on a table saw to clean the side that was cut off using the rough bandsaw method. As the table saw blade is surely straight, it will clean it super easy. I made another jig for this as well, just to hold it in place. Well, now it's finally time to glue the box together with some wood glue. Here I'm sliding the thin plywood bottom, which is the same size as the acrylic top. You see me using a very little amount, as I don't want the glue to spill all over, and I'm sure this will be more than enough. I'm using strap clamp with the corner for this joint and leaving it to dry for about 2 hours, so I can clamp down the other batch. Then it was time to fit the handle, and for that I'm just using a little dabs of CA glue to bond the acrylic and the plywood together. The very last detail was just sanding the sharp corner to a very nice, smooth, seamless finish. And then they are ready to take off. You can see that they fit into the KALLAX shelf just fine. The 45-degree cut came out really neat, and the cars fit in it perfectly. The top handle makes it seem like there is no handle at all. You might think that the standard way of making is just to cut, assemble, sand and then varnish the thing, but I choose a different approach as it provides me with a cleaner finish, easy and flat sanding, and overall a nicer process even if the result is kind of the same. Well, now it's just time to finish putting the rest of my collection inside. Thank you for watching. You can support me by smashing the like and hitting the subscribe button.
Bye.